Okay, hey, so this is my first YouTube video in a long time. So if there's something off about the format or the size or the graininess of it, then let me know. I don't really know what I'm doing here. In fact, it took me a long time to get just a camera recording software going yesterday. It was surprisingly difficult. Don't know why, but maybe I'm just getting old. Okay, so today what I'm going to do is start on a very large project. And I want to have a couple notes about format, a couple notes on why I'm doing it, and then we'll get started. So I'm going to be reading the Bible from beginning to end. Full disclosure, I'm an atheist. I don't like that word very much. I don't feel 100% comfortable being associated with other people who use the word a lot. I do prefer humanist, if I have to have an ist attached. Secular humanist, great, or just a rational thinking human. How about? The format is going to be very basic, so I'm not going to do too much homework in advance. It's just way too big of a project to go through it and overthink what I'm going to do each time. Basically, I'm just going to respond as I read. Mad props to Ricky Gervais, who has a comedy set where he does pretty much the same thing. It's hilarious. I definitely recommend that you check it out. This isn't going to be quite as funny. I hope that there will be entertaining parts, and I hope to tell a story as I read through what is actually a really good story. I'm going to try not to be too preachy, although I do celebrate the full spectrum of the English language. So I'm a big fan of George Carlin. 7 words you can't say on TV, perfectly fine for YouTube. So full disclosure there. But I don't want to come off as arrogant or preachy or overly insulting to other people's ideas. I'm trying for honesty and honest criticism. And then if it goes well, we get through, the Torah, which is basically the first 5 books of the Old Testament. We get through the rest of the Old Testament. The New Testament, which is basically the second in the series of books. And then we have some options from there, but I'm thinking I'm going to go with for a set of 3rd books, the Quran and the Hadith, which builds upon the New Testament and takes it in a different direction altogether. At which point, or once we get done with that, I think that's going to be one of the more interesting ones, so I'm excited about it. Then there are a lot of other options. I think we'll go with the Book of Mormon. We'll go with some of the other Western books and beliefs and ideologies. And then, why not go out east after that and talk about some of the Eastern ones? It's basically a study of religious texts as an atheist or as a humanist, and just going over what it means to me and relating back to stories from my life, and basically trying to do it in a palatable way that anyone would find interesting. So once again, so format is going to be long, boring, me sitting here talking as a head on YouTube. Hopefully, there's an audience for that. So for me, I turn on YouTube and I just leave it on all day because it's great to have other people's conversations just sort of through osmosis kind of seep into my brain, my attitude. I'm fairly open-minded. I can change my attitude on things for the most part. That being said, I've been around for a number of years now, and I've developed a a fairly consistent set of principles and ideologies and morals and values, just by living, by being a human. So I'm going to take those and apply them in this sort of way, in this sort of criticism. Then, so that was format. Yeah, I mean, let's get right into it. So I'm going to use Google. You're going to see me do a little bit of research at some points, and then I hope to make it enjoyable and somewhat entertaining. Mad props to Ricky Gervais. Oh, props to Andy Kaufman, who liked to say when he was around that at one point he did a set where he just opened The Great Gatsby and read it from beginning to end. And you'll notice that both of these are comedians. They I'm a huge fan of the work of comedians. I really enjoy what they do. I don't really have it in me to do that to do stand-up. It's not my thing. But I was excited by this idea of Andy Kaufman's, and I was excited by this set that Ricky Gervais did with this very subject matter. And I want to kind of take it to the next logical step and just finish the project, basically. And then a little bit about my backstory. So, like a lot of these guys, like Ricky Gervais, like Hitch, I was raised Christian at a very young age. Started to question it. I think around 8, I read the Bible. I guess I began when I was around 6, and I got through most of the Torah, most of the first 5 books of the Old Testament, before it got too boring, honestly. But it was through reading the Bible that I really developed an apprehension about the core ideology and what it stood for. It's internally inconsistent, and it just sort of drove me away. And then I think a lot of the conversations that I'm hearing, and a lot of, especially with recent events, and this is winter of 2015, and this year has been marred by religious controversy. One of these newer ones, one of the third sets of books that we're going to get to in a while. The frustration that I have with the conversation out there is that people don't know much about the books and about what's in there, and people pick and choose, and it's very a lot of the language, as we're going to see, is very poetic and very obscure in a lot of ways, and you can derive whatever you want from it. So going through and rationally looking at it, yeah, let's take some of those angles. Let's see what people could do with it if their morals weren't the same as mine, weren't the same as yours, and were, if they were a little bit more driven by a need to twist it to get some sort of political power. And that's, to some extent, what religion has been used for throughout history. So it might not have been the original purpose, but it might have been a way to control people by claiming a divine right to lead as a prophet or as a king. All that being said, yeah, I feel like I'm getting into the preachy a little bit, and I feel like I'm lecturing. So let's get started. Apologize for being preachy. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. So right off the bat, so this is a summary of what we're about to read. This is Genesis 1, verse 1. I'm going to try to read the verse numbers so that I can stay organized. A lot of this chapter, we'll see, is a little bit repetitive. So if it sounds like I'm reading the same line over again, most likely it's just that it was a mnemonic device used to remember the story before it was written down. This is a story that predates the ability to write for the author, most likely. I don't want to use the word fairy tale, but anything that starts with "in the beginning," you know right off the bat that you're in for a good tale, a good story. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. Okay, so you've got a god who likes surfing. There's a little inconsistency that we're about to run into regarding the vastness of the universe. God doesn't take nearly enough credit here. If we're going to suspend our disbelief a little bit, he focuses a lot on the earth in this story, which is, sure, he's talking to a caveman who doesn't really get it, but I think he's missing an opportunity here to blow this guy's mind and to really describe the vastness of the situation that the guy finds himself in on this pale blue dot. I don't know, he's not communicating in words necessarily. We think that he was just, these are ideas that people had, and so their conversations with God are more of less direct than just voices speaking to them, hopefully. But that doesn't mean that if you have a supernatural entity speaking to a caveman that can't show images of the vastness of this thing that we're in called the universe. So, sorry, once again, preaching. Okay, Google, how many stars are in the Milky Way galaxy?
According to Space.com, in one calculation, the Milky Way has a mass of about 100 billion solar masses, so it is easiest to translate that to 100 billion stars. Other mass estimates bring the number up to 400 billion.
That's huge. 100 billion stars. Okay, Google, how many galaxies are there in the universe?
100 billion galaxies. According to physics.org, according to the best estimates of astronomers, there are at least 100 billion galaxies in the observable universe.
100 billion times 100 billion. Okay, Google, what's 100 billion times 100 billion? It missed. Okay, Google, what's 100 billion times 100 billion? It's a very large number, 1 times 10 to the 22. Okay, Google, how many grains of sand are there on the planet Earth?
According to NPR, they said, if you assume a grain of sand has an average size and you calculate how many grains are in a teaspoon and then multiply by all the beaches and deserts in the world, the Earth has roughly 7.5x 1018 grains of sand, or 7 quintillion, 500 quadrillion grains.
So we know that there are about 1,000 times more stars in the universe than there are grains of sand on the planet Earth. It's an immense number of stars out there. 100 billion times 100 billion is a very, very large number. It's difficult for humans to really grasp once you start getting to powers of 10 beyond million, much less trillion, quadrillion, or quintillion. But each zero that you add on using our base 10 counting system is 10 times, 10 buckets of whatever it was that you were dealing with before, and then 10 buckets of buckets, and then 10 buckets of buckets of buckets. And when you have 100 billion galaxies, each of which having 100 billion stars, we're talking about a lot of stars. And then to compare, the creation of the heavens and the earth. So we're going to see pretty soon that it's a very Earth-centric view of things, and that the stars don't get their proper respect. God's really not giving himself enough credit on this thing, honestly. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. So right off the bat, here as well, and I know I've used that before, what are you talking about? And God saw the light, and that it was good, and God divided the light from the darkness. Yeah, that's what darkness is. It's the absence. Never mind. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And the evening and the morning were the first day. So you've got a God surfing along the waters of a planet, a watery planet, and it's got a day-night cycle. Nothing about it being round or it rotating over the course of a 24-hour period. And then, as we're going to see, it's not the sun here that's creating light. It's just that there is light on one side of the planet and darkness on the other. It's weird. And God said, "Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters." So here, this is a metaphor, or maybe an actual belief, but it's the idea that the sky is like water. It's the same thing. Yeah, sure, you've got clouds up there, which have water. So there's a firmament that separates the clouds from the ocean, and they rain on you. Okay. Whatever. And God said, and God made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament, and it was so. Okay. So a little bit of repetitive there, but it's like I don't know, software engineering. We have this idea of Scrum, of sprints, where you get up in the morning before work, or a little bit into your work day, and you basically come up with a plan, which is what you're going to do over the next 24-hour period, how many bugs you're going to tackle, how many features you're going to knock out, which features you're going to knock out, how you're going to do it. God's kind of doing that here. He's basically setting a goal for himself. Yeah, I'm gonna day 2. This is what I'm gonna get done. I'm gonna separate Earth from heaven and knock that out. And then he did it, and he saw it, and he's like, yeah, he did that, and that was good. So right off the bat, I keep saying that. Sorry, it's a long night last night, but right here we have a God who's setting goals for himself and then accomplishing them. It's very human of him. And God called the dry land earth. Oh, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself here. And then it was okay. Now we're on verse 8. And God called the firmament heaven, and the evening and the morning were the second day. So good job, God. You got your goals accomplished for the second day. Met your goals. Nice work. God said, "Let the waters under the heaven be gathered onto one place, and let dry land appear." And it was so. So, okay, Google, how old is the planet Earth?
Earth is 4.543 billion years old.
So 4.543 billion years of geological history here summed up into one sentence, as seen from the perspective of a guy who lived many years ago, didn't really know what he was talking about, was just trying to explain some facts of life to his kid. We're missing out on a lot of information here. The molten period of the planet, when it was this massive ball of burning metal. We're missing out on periods where meteor showers were heating up the surface, and volcanic activity and earthquakes were numerous. We're missing out on Pangea and the tectonic shifts and the formation of. He's just not giving himself enough credit. Here on the planet Earth, like this one tiny little speck of dust in one solar system, amongst 100 billion stars in our little pocket of the universe, which is immense. It's 1/100 billionth of the universe. Is pretty much all that we see when we look up at night. I'm not, the vastness and the awesomeness of what it is to be a part of this thing isn't fully captured here, and so far I'm not impressed. He's not blowing my mind as much as I would hope. So we've got land. Okay. God's dry land appearing. So, and God called the dry land earth, and the gathering together of waters he called the seas, and God saw that it was good. So once again, you accomplished your goal, God. Give yourself a pat on the back. You're your own best critic. And God said, "Let the earth bring forth grass, the herb yielding seed, and the fruit yielding tree." Wow, extra credit here. He keeps going on day 3 here. Yielding fruit after its kind, whose seed is in itself upon the earth, and it was so. And then we repeat, basically, and the earth brought forth grass, and herb yielding seed after its kind, and a tree yielding fruit, whose seed was in itself after its kind. And God saw it that it was good, and the evening and the morning were the third day. So great work on that third day. You accomplished 2 major tasks there. This is probably why you give yourself a break on the 7th day. But this tree thing, the fruit-bearing tree, I'm a little bit annoyed that there's a missed opportunity here. First of all, we know that trees co-evolved with other species, birds, mammals. Fruit-bearing trees specifically have fruits which are tasty, which are sweet, which mammals want to eat, and then hopefully for the tree's sake, the mammals also eat the seeds, and then they walk around and they move those seeds, and they deposit the genetic information of that tree, shitting on the ground, far away from the original tree, so that the tree can spread its genetic heritage across the surface of this planet. It's this amazing mutualism between trees and humans that is awesome. It's great. It's wonderful. It's worth looking into. It's worth researching. And there are so many instances here of just amazing stories that nature has built and has accomplished over 4.5 billion years. Well, not 3.5 billion years. Okay, Google. Okay, Google. How long has life been on Earth?
According to PBS, the oldest known fossils are approximately 3.5 billion years old, but some scientists have discovered chemical evidence suggesting that life may have begun even earlier, nearly 4 billion years ago.
This 4 billion year process of molding and crafting these trees, punctuated by moments of just absolute destruction where almost all plant life was destroyed, is just lost. And then one thing that I really want to bring up, and I don't know if I want to do it on this one or when the animals show up, but there's this thing with the spicy peppers that I love. And if you know me, you've probably heard me tell this story. Peppers are spicy not to defend themselves necessarily, but to select the species which will eat it, such that its seeds can be deposited both farther away and with a greater rate of success. So the problem is that mice, when they eat peppers, chew the seeds and destroy the chance of that plant to reproduce. So not only do they destroy the parent, but they kill all the children of the pepper. So peppers have done this amazing thing where they've tricked the mammal's mouth into thinking that the pepper itself is hot or poisonous. It's not. It's a trick. And the mice will avoid the peppers. And there's a mimicry. There are other peppers which don't produce this same trick, this capsaicin, this heat, this mammalian trigger. But they look like they do. They're red and they look dangerous. And so the mice don't go for those either in many cases. And you have this genetic arms race of mice trying to figure out which peppers they can eat and which peppers they can't eat. The thing is that capsaicin is very species specific. It's a mammalian. And birds don't have the same sensors, and they're not triggered by the same heat warnings. So they'll eat the peppers, don't have teeth. Whoa, sorry about that. That kind of startled me. They don't have teeth. They're much more likely to, I need to put that thing on vibrate, huh? They're much more likely to, broke my concentration. Yeah, they don't have teeth, so they're much less likely to destroy the seeds, and they will disperse the seeds farther by flying. And when they shit on the ground, they'll shit on the ground in an area, much farther away from the original plant, giving this ability for dispersal to happen in a much more successful way. Seeds have all sorts of amazing adaptations to travel and to transmit. They've got barbs so that they stick to fur. They've got tendrils that stick out in the air, and they're lightweight like dandelions, and they float on the air to move. They can sometimes survive in salt water, so they can hit the water and float across seas and make purchase on dry land and colonize a new place. There are all of these mechanisms and methods by which trees have over 4 billion years. There weren't trees 4 billion years ago. You needed multicellular life, you needed a lot of other adaptations, but over a very long period of time, they've developed, and And a lot of times that development has been set back by geological events and just restarted. And it's this beautiful orchestra of 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 life that's occurred. And here's my voicemail. And we don't give it nearly enough credit here on day 3. You know, great on him for getting the extra credit and doing a little bit of extra work, but still, blow this caveman's mind. You've done something awesome here. All right, now we get to a really interesting bit. We kind of set the groundwork for this, but here we go. Day 4. Verse 14. And God said, "Let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs, and for seasons, and for days, and for years." Great. Astrology, wonderful. You've created constellations, good for you. And let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth, and it was so. So you already had light on day 1. That's what you did on day 1. What are you doing here? You're kind of repeating yourself a little bit. I guess a bit of a refactor. So now the sun is creating the light, but we don't do justice to the notion that the sun is but one of 100 billion stars. So many that we can't see them all, just in our little pocket, in our Milky Way galaxy alone. No credit, no justice to that, no blowing of this guy's mind, no sense of scale or magnitude, or just pure awesomeness of this accomplishment, not giving himself enough credit, and quite frankly doing it in a very weird way. And God made 2 great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also. Please. Jeez. Fuck. This is so frustrating. This is not explaining anything except for what a man would see 8,000 years ago when he looked up at the sky. If he didn't know better, if he didn't know science. God's not telling this guy anything. He's just using his own delusions. And his own... Whoever this guy is, Moses, some ancestor of Moses, didn't get it. And God didn't change his mind about anything. God didn't reveal anything to him. It was just this simple-minded understanding of the universe, the type of understanding that a caveman would have and would tell his children. Because, whatever, he could. Jesus. 2... And the evening and the morning were the 4th day. Oh, sorry, I missed one. God set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth. So this is the sun and the moon that I just created, and the stars also. And to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good. Okay, another pat on the back. Man, you hit your objectives on day 4 there, God. So, yeah, obviously the moon is a light source. That's not always there during the night. I do like this idea right in the beginning of day 4, where we said, "Let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for season and for days and for years." It doesn't say anything about months, the lunar cycle. You missed out on an opportunity there. The moon's not always there at night. The great night light, right? Certain times of the month of the lunar month, the moon is kind of on the same side of the Earth as the sun as the Earth rotates, because the moon, as the Earth rotates, over a 30-day period, roughly, will be in a different position relative to the Earth and to the sun as it loops around the Earth. And when the moon is on the same side of the Earth as the sun, you don't even really see it to a large extent, because it's day and the sky is blue and there's no lighting on the moon. The moon isn't a source of a light, it's a giant reflector. And it's amazing. And it's, so, okay, Google, what is the mass of the Earth divided by the mass of the moon?
The answer is 81.28.
It's 1/80th of the size of the Earth. And that answer surprises me a little bit. I thought the moon was larger than that in mass. I don't understand how. I mean, I always thought it was that you would have 1/10 Earth gravity on the moon. Apparently, you would have much less than that, which means you would be able to jump very high. That would be a fun place to visit, and it would be immensely exciting. And if you haven't played Kerbal Space Program, I highly recommend it. It gives you a sense. It's cartoony in scale, but it gives you a sense of the vastness of space, even on a kind of a cartoon level. Wonderful game. Okay. Next, it just came out with an update recently. Next, size of the sun So you placed the sun in the firmament of the heaven. Not really. Okay, you're not really breaking it down for this caveman very well. Okay, Google, what is the mass of the sun divided by the mass of the Earth?
The answer is 333,060.4.
333,000 Earths. You take 333,000 Earths, and once again, this is a large number. The human brain doesn't do very well with these large numbers. You put all those Earths together, and you have the sun, and this thing is given the same basic respect as the moon. And then the 100 billion galaxies out there, and the 100 billion stars are just, yep, created those too. Come on, man. Like, I don't know how to fully express my disappointment in this missed opportunity. It's... Why? Why would you not just blow this guy's mind? Why are you holding back here? The enormity of it and the beauty of our universe is not really represented by this creation story. It doesn't express the 14.5 billion years of stars exploding, of stars going supernova and exploding their guts and their debris out into space, putting out into the universe itself and all the galaxies of the universe the elements which make up what we've discovered and called the periodic table, most of which wouldn't exist without being manufactured and generated by giant fusion reactions from long, long ago in space, creating the building blocks, the atoms, which could form into molecules, which could form into greater molecules, which could be organized into structures and machines and mechanisms to support and create life, which, you know, this story isn't that great in comparison to what actually happened. It's a poor mimicry of reality. And God said, "Let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creature that hath life, and fowl that may fly above earth in the open firmament of heaven." So, you know, sky water. Sky is like the ocean, I guess. It's blue. It's all blue. Why not? Rains sometimes. Created birds and fish. Birds are like flying fish, I suppose. And God created great whales. There you go. Nice work on the whales. And every living creature that moveth, which the waters brought forth abundantly after their kind, and every winged fowl after his kind. And God saw that it was good. And God blessed them, saying, "Be fruitful, and multiply, and fill the waters and the seas, and let fowl multiply in the earth." I don't know why the birds are multiplying in the earth. And the evening and the morning were the fifth day. Wait, you didn't even give yourself a pat on the back there. And where was Scrum? Where was your... Oh, I see. Yeah, you had it. Verse 20. Let the waters bring forth abundantly. And then you went out and you did it. And you created whales and birds and stuff. Good. So, but whales, come on. Whales aren't fish. It's not how it happened. There wasn't... Look, we know this. Whales share certain features, certain vestiges of their time, of their great ancestors who didn't spend all of their time in the ocean. These guys walked for a time on land, and then they went back into the water, like dolphins and porpoises. Okay, Google, is a whale a mammal? I'm a little bit confused on this.
According to UCSB Science Line, University of California, Santa Barbara, mammals all are warm-blooded animals. They breathe air, have hair, and moms feed their babies milk from mammary glands.
It goes on to say, and I don't know why it doesn't read this next line, whales actually do all of these things. Whales are warm-blooded, which means they keep high body temperature, and that does not change in the cold water. But they're mammals. They're our kin. They're closer to us than fish are. It's a different thing. It's, you know, not to criticize, but, well, not to criticize unduly, but this is a caveman looking at something that he doesn't get. We've since gone back and figured out some things that this guy didn't know over the last 8,000 years, but more specifically in recent times. So I wish they would rewrite this thing and give it, you know, the proper due majesty. It's very plain and basic and non-impressive. Sorry, it's just not. It's not impressive. So he created some great whales. You're a little bit, your order is wrong here, a little bit. Guy, you didn't get it. And God said, let the earth bring forth, so I guess we're on day 6 now. So it's the last because we know that he takes a break on day 7, so we're almost done here. And God said, let the earth bring forth the living creatures after his kind, cattle and creeping thing, and beast of the earth after its kind, and it was so. And God made the beast of the earth after his kind, and cattle and their kind after their kind, and everything that creepeth upon the earth after his kind. And God saw that it was good. So there you have him setting his goal and accomplishing it. Nice work, God. And God said, let us make man in our image. So here's some extra credit on day 5 as well, or day 6 as well. After our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. I guess not the whales. Huh? And God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him, male and female, created he them. It's just, you know, lost in translation there, I guess, the language. And if I get tripped up, it's because it just, I've been speaking English for a long time, and I've read this before, but going back to it, the way that the sentences are structured is a little bit confusing. And God blessed them, and God said unto them, be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth, and replenish the earth. Just, how was it deplenished? Anyway, and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth. So I feel like we're missing something here. This isn't necessarily the beginning if we have to replenish the earth all of a sudden. And God said, behold, I have given you every herb. Oh no, so I gotta come back to this. I like this part actually. So I'm gonna take that on its own. So created all the land animals. So once again, we know that a little bit out of order with the whales. This mutualism that happened with plants as we co-evolved with them, completely lost in this story, and the vast majesty of what it was. The 99.9% of species which lived and died over successive eras after geological events would kill off all of the large animals on the planet, leaving only those in the sea sometimes, and even killing off some of the larger ones in the seas at other times, giving a new chance for small creatures to evolve and grow in a particular way to end up where we are today. 4 billion years after this all began. It's amazing. It's just a beautiful story. The reality of what happened here over the last, just this immense period of time, while this planet was forming and becoming what it is today, is just not represented here in this thing. It's not impressive. Um, didn't talk about the fossil record. Didn't talk about all those other creatures that he made. Didn't talk about. He's not giving himself the due credit, and he's not blowing this caveman's mind. This is a missed opportunity to explain the way things work and the way things are, and how it all comes together. Gives the guy dominion over the planet, fine, but come on. And God makes man in his own image. You know, okay. Weird. You know, honestly, if I were going to create an intelligent life form from scratch, my own image, I don't think so. I think I would mix it up a little bit. I would do something a little bit different. I mean, it would be nice to fly, right? So if I were to create something, I would go with like a flying thing. And you know, not like Superman. I think, you know, wings are elegant, but yeah, I'd go with something that's got the rotor blades. Why not? That's cool. Because nature doesn't do that very well. Nature doesn't do wheels very well. It doesn't do ball bearings. It doesn't do moving parts like that. Wings are amazing. So I would, you know, if I were limited to just what I could craft with genetics over time with genetic engineering and taking existing things and molding them, yeah, I would toss some wings on humans and make the bone structures a little bit less dense, make us less fat. I think I would make some alterations, and then the whole sex thing. You know, clearly these cavemen had a problem with sex. The laws that we're going to see coming up, and the repression that we get from Catholicism in the medieval ages, and some of the lack of understanding about disease and how it spreads, and the things that you can do about it, and some of the misinterpretations of those consequences and how to deal with those consequences are interesting. And so having the foreknowledge and the understanding of this religion that we do as modern, you know, 21st century humans, as a modern man, I know that there are some things here that if God were going to go back and do it again, I think he would have made different choices. If he wanted a bunch of people to be repressed about sex, why not just not have that part of things? You know, there are single-celled organisms which just duplicate by splitting in half. You could have, like Mary was purported, she just didn't need well, yeah, this angel and a little bit of, you know, we'll get there. Anyway, and God said, behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed, which is upon the face of the earth, and every tree, which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed. To you it shall be for meat. Yes! A meat tree. We really screwed up as a people, as humans. Way back when we ate the last meat tree. I want one. I know science is getting there, but come on, just give me a tree that grows bacon. I want to eat bacon from a tree, and I want it to be tasty. And I'm excited about this. I think you're going to end up with less antibiotics in the bacon. It's going to be tastier. You know, say what you will about genetic engineering. I'm for it. Not a big fan of some of the bigger players in it around today. I'm not a big fan of the monoculture stuff, but let's get these meat trees back. This is amazing. And to every beast of the earth, and sorry if I'm overly excited, meat tree. To every beast of the earth, and to every fowl of the air, and to everything that creepeth upon the earth, wherein there is life, I have given every green herb for meat. Meat herbs. Meat herbs, meat trees. This is amazing, and it was so. No, alright, you got me. So, I was a little bit unimpressed by your origin story of the universe. You missed a lot of opportunities on the vastness and the scale and the true majesty. Didn't give yourself enough credit for the stars. You just afterthought. I did like the part about the seasons. Oh, I didn't get to that. I got to the moon thing, but as the planet, and this just occurred to me the other day, as the planet orbits the sun, you have a year. Because of the tilt of the planet, when the northern hemisphere is facing away from the sun for the majority of the days in the northern hemisphere become shorter. By roughly, depending on the mountains in your area and whether or not you're in a valley or up on a hill, the same number of hours that you see added to your day in the summer months. So you have a 12-hour day-night cycle on the equator if you're on a kind of a flat surface, and well, because of the way that the light bends as it gets into the atmosphere and the pre-dawn and whatnot, you've got a little bit longer than 12 hours. And that doesn't change in winter or summer. So on the equator, every day, all year, is 12 hours. If you were to go up to northern Alaska or northern Siberia or the island of Svalbard, or get out onto the ice in the Arctic, you could in the winter not see the sun. And I know people who live in northern Norway, what they see in the summer is a sun that just goes around in a circle all day. It doesn't set. It just moves around in a circle. It's really cool. So the Earth is moving around in our solar system, and at different times of the year, as soon as the Earth rotates to the point where the sun is no longer hitting the sky and making it blue, the first constellation that you see, the light from the stars that you see, become the sign for that month. And so in the summer, and I don't know much about astrology. I don't really keep up with that. But in the summer, the stars that first come up after the Earth rotates such that the sun is out of view are the summer stars. And in the winter, you're looking the opposite way into the Milky Way, into the universe. You're looking the planet. And I'm sorry, I don't know where exactly. I'm not looking at myself on the screen. The planet is pointed in the other direction, into the universe. So what you're seeing as the Earth rotates, and you get that first view of the night sky in the early evening, changes throughout the year based on where the planet is relative to the sun. That's really cool. And so we got a little bit of that, and people are talking to me. Awesome. We're almost done. But it's really cool, and I'm glad there was a mention of it, but I wish there was a little bit more of an explanation to this guy. And then the other thing, some of these stars are gone, right? So of the 100 billion galaxies and the 100 billion stars per galaxy, these lights up in this firmament are a historical record of stars that are far away, and depending on how far away they are, there's a very good chance that a lot of these stars have gone out and are no longer there. They are no longer producing light, but the light that they did produce is coming at us through space, and the farther it goes through space, the redder it is, and this is a consequence of the Doppler shift, they think, of this, the prevailing theory of the stars moving farther away and faster, so that the light that comes from them that we normally expect from the fusion reaction is a little bit shifted to the red, and then galaxies that are headed towards us, a little bit bluer, because they're moving towards us, and so the light is a little bit different. and we can see this. We can measure it. We have the technology. It's our understanding of this stuff is amazing and beautiful and vast and wonderful, and it's this Genesis 1 chapter 1 is a missed opportunity to get into that. So if you believe in God, you have to believe that He was holding back a little bit and not blowing this caveman's mind for whatever reason. I think this caveman could have handled it. Not all that genetically dissimilar from us. This was a very short time ago in terms of natural selection and the evolutionary time frame. So these guys had the mental capacity that we've got, for the most part. They can understand facts. So more likely what happened, from my perspective, is that you had a guy trying to communicate to his offspring in a way that could be remembered and told and told and told again before writing, to basically just explain the seasons, the day-night cycle, to give some context and some reasoning behind it, to the best of his ability. And that's admirable, and I'm fine with that. But at some point down the line, his son's son, we're going to get into that, and that's going to be a real hard thing to get through, honestly, once we get to those chapters, where they're just talking about family lineage. At some point, those children asked the right questions and gained the right insights and got the right information and have gotten us to the point, and these are our great ancestors, right, where we know so much more about this place that we live, this tiny pale blue dot. And there are these wonderful images of selfies that we've taken of our planet, where we've sent a satellite out and it's gotten behind Saturn, and so it can look back and the sensors don't get damaged by the sun because Saturn blocks the light that would otherwise fry the camera if the satellite looked back. And a couple of these scientists had this wonderful idea of doing a public relations photo shoot of the planet from beyond Saturn and showing just how small it really is. And you've got that pale blue dot picture, and there's some more recent ones that we've taken with other satellites that show us our planet kind of in comparison and in the background of the rings of Saturn from a distance. So you've got Saturn and its rings, which aren't really rings, which are just these thin, these molecules that are spaced apart, and these rocks spaced far apart that are orbiting this planet. But if you look at it from the right angle, you see a bunch of them, and you see this mirage of a ring. You've got Jupiter. Okay, Google, okay, Google. It's not listening to me. Okay, Google. What is the mass of Jupiter divided by the mass of Earth?
The answer is 317.83.
You have Jupiter, which, just another speck in the firmament, is a planet 317 times the size of the planet Earth, where most of the mass of the solar system resides, other than the 333,000 times the mass of Earth Sun. So, just another thing in the firmament to govern the day, right? But it's not. It's bigger than that. It's majestic. It's beautiful. And so, just the boring. I hope you can get how boring this story is to me. The boredom compared to reality, compared to what we know now, compared to what we've learned since this caveman passed this original story down to his children, since they were able to put it to paper. I'm a big fan of the meat trees and the meat plants. And God saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good. And the evening and the morning were the sixth day. So you've got a day-night cycle before you've got the sun. You've got a moon, which you're saying gives light in the night, but it doesn't. And it's not always there in the night. You've got stars, not given their proper due majesty. But, you know, good work, God. Give yourself a extra pat on the back there. It's very good this time. Great 60 days of work, and that's it for today. I'm going to move on to other things, but I had fun reading Genesis 1, chapter 1. I'm looking forward to Genesis 1 or Genesis chapter 2. And that'll be tomorrow. But I want to say, in terms of timing, I think I don't know how long this took to do, but this project is going to be immense. As you can tell, it's going to take a long time to get through this. So bear with me. If you're binge watching this, pace yourself. I think Ricky Gervais went through 3 chapters in about a 90-minute period of time or a 60-minute period of time. I'm not beating that I'm not going for a speed record on this thing. We're just gonna go through it. But I had fun. Correct my facts if I'm wrong on anything. Create your own video. This is YouTube. It's amazing. We live in a wonderful world of technology and options and opportunities. But I'm going to sign off now, and thanks for watching.